104.5 The Team, your home for New York Yankees baseball. We are happy to be joined by Andrew Marchand right now. And you have been at camp, and the biggest story, hands down, seems to be Alex Rodriguez. Is there anything you saw this year that kind of shocked you as you're in these uncharted waters of A-Rod, the teacher?
Well, yeah, I kind of referred to him as a life coach. He took the guys out to dinner last night, and it's a new era for A-Rod. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how involved he is with the franchise going forward. And it's amazing that that's even a sentence that someone could utter. In all seriousness, when you think about where he was 2 years ago, if I was on your show, I probably was on your show. We're talking about how A-Rod, will even be on the team because he's coming off the year suspension for ped use, and now he's back. And Hal Steinbrenner really likes him. So they've talked about, or at least Hal has publicly said that he could see an expanded role for A-Rod. So we'll see where it goes. At this point, I don't think you'll see a daily role for him, and maybe you'll never see that. But I do think in the future, I'm talking 5-10 years from now, I don't think it's out of the question if Hal's still owning the team, which, from all indications he will be.
Now, it's weird to me because I know the mantra of A-Rod is, this is it, I'm done, I'm retiring a Yankee. 4 home runs shy of 700. Is there any chance you think, like, towards the end of the year, like a Tampa calls up and he DHs and tries to get those final 4?
No, I think this is it for A-Rod. He claimed he had a couple teams interested in him last year after he, was let go by the Yankees and had his double in his final game at Yankee Stadium. But I know the Marlins were interested in it. That's been reported, but I also know from a source that it was. I think that was a real opportunity. But National League, he'd have to play first base. He wasn't comfortable there. And then, he claimed there's another team. I don't know. You could speculate on other clubs. But I don't see it. And it's not, you can't just pick up a bat after not playing all year and expect to hit 4 home runs. And I think he has too much now going on in other facets of his life where that, 696, he's going to have to be satisfied with that.
Andrew Marchand covers the Yankees for the Mothership and ESPN.com right here on 104.5 The Team. So he's been the biggest story. Who's been your biggest surprise so far as you watch the young Yankees getting ready for the season?
You can't really tell too much yet. I thought, I think when you look at Aaron Judge and Greg Bird, I think those are the two guys that are two of the more interesting guys who will most likely be on the major league roster and in the opening day lineup. Judge is a guy who is humongous, as you know, 6'7", 275 pounds. And the question is, will he be able to make enough contact? Last year came up, hit the home run in his first at bat, but then struck out in half of his 84 at bats, which is awful, of course. So will his size translate on the baseball diamond? As Joe Girardi said the other day, he's built more like a football player. So, in batting practice, he is hitting mammoth home runs. But that's batting practice. But he's interesting to watch because that batting practice power is pretty impressive. And then Greg Bird coming off the shoulder surgery. You look at what the Yankees have had at first base over the last more than 20 years, dating back to Don Mattingly. All veterans from Mattingly to Tino Martinez to Jason Giambi to Mark Teixeira. Now you have a guy who's only in his second year after missing, really his third year, but missed his second year because of the shoulder surgery. So I think he's very interesting to see how he rebounds and if he looks like he's up to the task of playing every day.
Now, Andrew, us Yankee fans are very greedy. So when we see a guy like Gary Sanchez pop off the page last year, is there anybody that we can get that kind of – I know you said it's early and it's hard to tell at this point, but when you're looking at who you see and they're working out, is there a potential Sanchez in the mix if you had a crystal ball?
Yeah, Gleyber Torres is the guy who there's a chance he could make the big club this year. They got him in the trade for Chapman from the Cubs, and he shot up the farm board of people, people who rank all the prospects. And he's number one on most people's list. And, he seems like a very natural shortstop. He does seem to have a good head on his shoulders. He was the MVP of the Arizona Fall League, which at 20 years old is very impressive. That's young to win that in the Fall League. So he's a kid that could maybe make it to the big time this year and maybe make a big impact. So that would be the one guy. But you know what? here's the interesting thing. When you look back to the early 90s and you were about to say the Yankees were going to have a dynasty, you would have guessed Brian Taylor, who was the number one pick that they had, number one overall pick, left-handed pitcher for the young people out there. You would have said he and Ruben Rivera, another big-time outfield prospect, would be the guys who'd be the cornerstones of that dynasty. And instead, neither was, Taylor never even made the majors, and Ruben Rivera never became anything of substance. And so there are guys like Mariano Rivera and Derek Jeter and Andy Pettitte. And, and obviously, some of those guys did have some publicity coming up. But, so I wouldn't count out the Mateos and some of the other, other prospects the Yankees have. And the thing is that they have so many. So, who is going to step up and be the guy who we're talking about in 20, 25 years that they were the ones? Because, at this point, they all have potential, and sometimes guys are rated a little ahead of other guys, but then the guys behind them shoot through.
Andrew Marchand with us now. Andrew, you just said something that is geeking up Yankee fans everywhere because we've had Leyritz on the show, and Jim Leyritz has kind of made the comparison to the teams right before the 96 team. Are you seeing similar comparisons yourself?
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I mean...
Oh, come on, you can lie to me. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, I've written this a number of times, right? 2019 is the year really you can get excited because if you get 3 or 4 of these guys to hit, then you add, potentially if he's doing well, Bryce Harper or Manny Machado or the pitchers that will be in that market. You add a couple of players to a young core. You could have something really exciting in the Bronx again. But I will tell you this: yes, they have a lot of prospects, but they have to make it. So right. I mean, yes, it's nice to say, and it does get everyone hyped up, I guess. But bottom line is, you don't know what you have until you know what you have, which means that they're, as Brian Cashman likes to say, they're suspects until when they say they're prospects, it means they haven't done anything yet, and so that's the case they have here. So you're hoping, if you're a Yankee fan, for more Derek Jeters and Mariano Rivera's and less Brian Taylor's and Ruben Rivera's.
And Andrew Marchand with us right now. The Yankees are going to play in the Phillies in spring training today. I looked through the whole thing. I didn't see Jacoby Ellsbury's name anywhere, not as a backup or anything. Is that odd?
No, not really. His wife and he had their second child, so he was a little late to spring training. So he's just a couple of days behind.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure he'll be in there in the next couple of days. But what will be interesting when they have their full lineup is where he bats. He's in his 4th year. He has a $153 million contract. He's not lived up to it. Maybe the worst free agent signing in the history of the Yankees. Oh, no. And there's a chance he might bat 7th this year, and Brett Gardner's at the top of the lineup. Or it could be reversed, where he's 1 and Gardner's 7. But if Ellsbury's not going to do it this year, when is he going to do it? There's 3 more years after this one on this contract. I mean, it's a long time. If Donald Trump is up for re-election, he'd be in his second term. If he were to win a second term, that's how long this contract is. That doesn't feel like that's happening tomorrow. So when you look at it, Jacoby Ellsbury really needs to step up and be somewhat of a pretty good player. Maybe not $153 million guy, but a guy who's contributing.
Is it odd that Brett Gardner and Jacoby Ellsbury are still on this roster right now?
It was odd when they signed them both. I mean, to me, they kind of, especially, they gave Ellsbury got $100 million more. I mean, I never liked the Ellsbury signing. I thought the contract was terrible. When Scott Boras, his agent, strikes quickly, you made a bad deal usually. And I always do this. When you make a signing of a free agent or you're thinking about it, look at the previous 6 years. Look at baseballreference.com or back of a baseball card and say, if we got those 6 years in the next 6 years, would it be worth $153 million, or 7 years, I should say? Would it be worth it? And I think if you look at Ellsbury's track record, he had 2 really good years, one almost MVP season with the Red Sox. But beyond that, he's not a $20+ million a year player, and he's only getting older. So, they have 2 guys, and you can tell they like Gardner better too, just to how he approaches the game compared to Ellsbury. And so that's a bad signing, however you look at it for the Yankees.
All right, I'm going to let you get out of here after this. The way too early prediction. I know they're just first spring training game. How do you think the Yankees fare this year? And we're going to let you change it like 20 times.
Yeah, you need to let me do that, and I will change it 20 times. I would go right now, I will say 85 wins. So a team that's vying for a wild card spot till the end, but not actually making it into the playoffs.
You know what? As the first prediction, that does not break my heart. I don't hate it.
But I also get to see 92 wins, and I also get to see 68 wins. So there you go. I kind of went in the middle, a little higher than the middle.
All right, 68 will break my heart. Just so we're clear, you will have to talk me off a ledge at that point if that's real, Andrew.
Well, you can think about the draft choices and building up that farm system more. The Yankees are a good listen. I would say this: no matter what happens this year, I do think. Well, I shouldn't say that. Depending on how the biggest thing for the Yankees this year is the young guys developing. If those guys develop, then I think they're in a good. They're well positioned.
Andrew Marchand always tells it like it is. We appreciate your time, my friend. I know you're super busy.
All right, thank you.